Yesterday, we went over a crazy plot leak for Avengers Doomsday, but there's an addition to that, and that would be the post-credit scenes for that movie. So in this video, I want to talk about the post-credit scenes for Spider-Man Brand New Day, and I want to talk about the post-credit scenes for Avengers Doomsday. Now, all of this is rumors. It seems to all be coming from the same kind of like 4chan leak thing, this big thread, this user that claims to have inside information. And as we discussed in yesterday's video, like the thing that's wild is like a lot of this stuff seems like it could be real. And of course, it all sounds dope as hell, which has got me quite excited. Let's go over it. Let's go over all the different post-credit scenes. We're like a year away from this shit at this point, so a lot of this could change. Big time rumors, but it's fun. You know, it's fun at this point to kind of take the information we currently have and look ahead. It says Marvel's Avengers Doomsday will have an Avengers Infinity War level cliffhanger with Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom succeeding in his plan. The worlds finally collide. The universes are destroyed. Nothing remains, only Doom. That was in the leak that we went over yesterday. Oh, and by the way, I will be talking about all the leaks, everything on stream over on the live streaming channel. So if you're watching this video like really early Monday morning, go check out the live streaming channel. Be live probably at 11. And if you're watching it later, that live stream should still be up on that channel. According to the new leak details for Avengers Doomsday post-credit scene, there will be 2 post-credit scenes. The first one will show a new world set in the year 1600. People and children walk and talk in a peaceful environment. In the background, a green cloaked figure stands out against the horizon, Doctor Doom. The shot reveals that Doctor Doom has recreated a new world. It also features Franklin Richards, Sue Storm, and a small blonde girl. Now, hang on just a freaking minute here. A small blonde girl and Sue Storm and Franklin Richards? I mean, that feels like Valeria Richards to me, which is wild because a lot of us thought Valeria Richards might get brought into this thing eventually, but she's obviously not in the Fantastic Four film at all. But it is important to remember that there were scoops that said that Doctor Doom was going to be upset because his family gets wiped out by incursions. And I remember when that leak first came out, I was like, wait a minute, the only person that Doom really considers family is Valeria Richards, and yet she's not in the MCU, at least as far as I could tell. So I just gotta say, that's kind of crazy. If it really does have a new world on Battleworld, and it is Doctor Doom with Franklin Richards, Sue Storm, and a blonde, like a young blonde girl, oh my god, he could actually be bringing Valeria Richards back. That's absolutely insane. Another thing I want to say here, just stopping, obviously looking at the motif, right? This motif that you can kind of see on the screen. We've talked about this many times before. It's in all the leaked concept art, but it's interesting that they say the year 1600 here, because I actually did hear some people behind the scenes telling me that Marvel 1600 was going to be something that was adapted for the Battleworld. 1600 was a specific Marvel storyline, like a specific universe. It's not exactly the same thing as what Jonathan Hickman did in his Secret Wars with Battleworld, but even Hickman himself said he drew a lot of inspiration from Marvel 1600 for the Hickman Secret Wars Battleworld. So all kind of cool stuff going on here. Okay, so that's the first post-credit scene. Check this second one out, though. It says the second post-credit scene will follow 8 years after the events of Avengers Doomsday. A group of explorers finds the raft lost in the depths of the ocean. It remains intact, covered by the passage of time, and its systems slowly begin to reactivate, revealing that the survivors are still inside. The surviving heroes travel by ship to the raft, a structure built using the combined technologies of Reed Richards and Hank Pym. That was from the leak before. And the leak from before also says that among the survivors are Reed Richards, Shuri, Star-Lord, Captain Marvel, Vision, Wong, the Young Avengers, Cyclops, Storm, Iceman, Sam Wilson, Beast, Spider-Man, Tom Holland, Yelena, Bucky, Ghost, and US Agent. Okay, I got a lot of thoughts about this. This is really freaking crazy, but first, let's talk about the post-credit scene for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, this actually comes from a different leak. This comes from a Discord leak that happened where essentially it seems like a lot of the scoopers and the insiders are all on one Discord where they share a lot of information. And either somebody hacked into that Discord or one of them went rogue or just some of the information got out there because a whole bunch of info from that Discord has been made public. And one of the things that was in that Discord was the post-credit scene for Spider-Man Brand New Day, which said that another planet will show up in the sky, that another Earth will show up in front of Earth 616, and that's essentially going to tee off the events of Avengers Doomsday. Now, a couple of different things about this. Number one, makes me think a lot about the incursions from Jonathan Hickman's time runs out. We've been talking a lot about this, of course, because Hickman did Secret Wars. That's a big thing that they're adapting in the MCU Secret Wars. With that planet popping up in the sky, that tees off something that connects to the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, right? Where Yelena is talking about some weird thing going on in space. Remember, because John Walker was like, space? How could we be running out of space? This building's enormous. And she's like, outer space. And then they're like, oh, outer space, right? And then the interdimensional ship of the Fantastic Four comes in. Well, I believe what's happening in outer space is literally another Earth just there, right? A full-blown Earth-on-Earth incursion, a lot like what we got in the Jonathan Hickman comic books. Now, if that is true, then Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to end setting up that crazy scenario, which would have the heroes of Earth 616 and everybody on Earth 616 really panicked, as there's literally an Earth in the sky and they're all coming towards each other. This could also explain why we get Doctor Doom coming into the picture and then having that Earth go fight against the X-Men Earth. This is potentially where 838 comes into play later on in the film. So that is really crazy, and that seems like it's going to be what happens at the end of Spider-Man Brand New Day. So fast forward into Avengers Doomsday and the whole plot leak that we talked about yesterday. I'll link the video in the description, but I'm sure many of you that are watching this video already saw that video or are already aware of what the plot leaks are. Essentially, that movie is going to end in a way where Doctor Doom recreates the multiverse, and that brings us to these new post-credit scenes, right? So the 1600 just on Battleworld post-credit scene. Oh my goodness, can you imagine? Like, basically, guys, we're gonna be in the theaters, right? And we're gonna watch that whole crazy freaking thing that goes on in Doomsday. And then we will see a glimpse, a little tease, a little taste of Battleworld, of the 1600s Game of Thrones-esque medieval type of thing. And remember when all of those leaks popped off about a year ago when the concept art came out? Do you remember how fucking crazy people went? Dude, a bunch of fans went nuts for that because it's really freaking cool. It's a really cool idea, and it's just something that people feel is awesome, and they feel like Marvel's really going for it, and it feels unusual, fresh, new. It's just crazy, man. That leak, man, Marvel's got to be feeling really good, because after that leak, people went absolutely nuts, very excited for Battleworld. So if these leaks are to be believed, then Marvel's just going to put that right front and center. You're going to have this crazy thing go on, you're like, oh my god, and then they're going to be like, you know what, yep, it is Battleworld, you know what it is Battleworld. And then the other one will have explorers finding the raft. Now, this is really interesting. In this article, it continues to sort of show this raft here, and I had some people hit me up since I did the video yesterday and say that, like, in Marvel Zombies, it explains that the raft prison is indeed a ship or something, and that it's very likely going to be the prison raft that ends up becoming the thing that shrinks down into the quantum realm, and then therefore is found in this next post-credit scene, right? When it says here, 8 years later, massive passage of time, the systems boot up, and then we have all of the heroes that survive the collapse of the multiverse. They're going to pop up on Battleworld. Now, on the one hand, this is very different than what happened with Infinity War and with Endgame. There were no post-credit scenes after Infinity War, and Marvel felt like after the snap, they just needed to leave us truly hanging, like leave us truly hanging on what could actually be happening. And then I think, you know, obviously Endgame was really, really crazy, and it was like, whoa, like very bold storytelling, you know, the time heist, all of that crazy stuff. But we already know that Secret Wars is coming. We already have a general idea of what Secret Wars will be. So if these leaks are true and they're just going to show us right on Front Street, I actually like that a lot, because there's still plenty of mystery as far as what will actually happen in the Secret Wars movie, and I'd be very excited to see how all of these characters interact together and what exactly is going to be going on in this medieval Secret Wars battle world adventure that Marvel's going to tell with RDJ's Doctor Doom. So for me personally, I think it'll work. Like, I think it works. Just show us. Just show us. We don't need the cliffhanger. At this point, with leaks and everything, the hardcore people already know what's coming. So just let us have a little bit of a taste there and get really, really excited. I mean, look, here's what I'll say for the overall package, right? And I'm still not 100% convinced that these leaks are true. Like, I want to believe because they sound so freaking cool, man. But let's just say that this is true. Oh my fucking god, Marvel's absolutely cooking, right? Like between the post-credit scene of Spider-Man, which I'm sure Spider-Man's gonna be awesome. By the way, Spider-Man's its own thing. It seems really cool. Punisher, Hulk, Sadie Sink, all that. But Spider-Man's gonna be dope, and then you're gonna freaking go into Doomsday. The plot leaks for Doomsday sound absolutely incredible, and then this setup for Secret Wars seems perfect. And there'll still be so much fun to be had on Secret Wars. Like, are we gonna meet Dukes and other barons? Are we gonna meet Maestro? Is he like in charge of one of his King Thanos now in charge of stuff? Is the Maker now in charge of stuff? Or are those villains now gonna pop up like they did in Secret Wars? You know what I mean? And that would be really interesting. Very hard to juggle what that story could be. Will we have the Thors, like the Thor core? You know, just so many questions, so much mystery about what's gonna be going on in Secret Wars. And one thing I want to say too is like, I'm hoping that there's still a multiversal Avenger element, because the one kind of like underlining thing here, like the weird thing that we're starting to hear with these leaks, is that Loki and his multiversal Avengers plan is gonna like lose, right? They're going to fight on the Void. They're gonna try to stop Doctor Doom, but they're not gonna be able to, and then they're gonna be slaughtered. Now, I love that because it's very, very fun. But at the same time, Loki's team was like Deadpool. Loki's team had Wolverine, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man, and like, dude, I want those characters to still be in Secret Wars, right? So there's sort of this question of like, okay, will there still be a multiversal Avengers? Because maybe there's a way to like revisit those dead universes. That is technically a thing that's happened in comics before. And in fact, there was a comic book, I believe it was called Timeless, which set up a thing with Kang and Doctor Doom, where like Kang was kind of being like messed with what he thought was like a version of Doctor Doom. And he ends up finding that it was a Reed Richards that had become Doctor Doom in a dead timeline. And the Reed Richards had the Time Stone and the Space Stone and was literally holding this dead timeline together. It was kind of sick. So I wonder if there'll be something like that, because I would love for Secret Wars to still have some kind of like time heist thing where Loki and maybe his people are going to these big freaking moments from these past Marvel movies, whether they be, you know, a Blade movie or a Fox X-Men movie or even a Fox Fantastic Four movie or a Sony Spider-Man movie. I would love going back to these other movies and pulling these characters out to then also fight on Battleworld. But the way things are cooking, the way this is seeming, maybe that's not what it is. Maybe Secret Wars is a little bit more condensed than we thought. And the funny thing is, you know, you say that, right? You say like condensed, and I think I've explained what I mean to you. But at the same time, Secret Wars is populated, like even the comic book is populated by like a bajillion Marvel characters. They're just grabbed up from the multiverse anyway and slammed into Battleworld, and then they exist in the 1600 timeline. So we're going to see 1600 timeline versions of these characters, right? And it's interesting because, you know, if you look, right, at the characters that survive, you've got Reed Richards, Shuri, Star-Lord, Captain Marvel, Vision, Wong, the Young Avengers, Cyclops, Storm, Iceman, Sam Wilson, Beast, Spider-Man, Yelena, Bucky, Ghost, and US Agent. Hulk is not one of those characters, neither is She-Hulk. And we've seen the concept art that has Hulk in the 1600 outfit. He's got his son there, and She-Hulk's also in the 1600 outfit as well. So it kind of tracks that Marvel characters that exist now are very likely to be in Secret Wars either way. It's just whether they're or not they will be the version from 616, or they will be another variant that has been sort of brainwashed into believing what is happening on Secret Wars or on Battleworld. Oh my God, bro, like this is, to me, this is actually some really cool stuff. So I'm super excited. I'm super hyped up for all this kind of stuff. I guess we'll leave that one here for now, guys. Please let me know your thoughts about the post-credit scenes here and some of these ideas of like Secret Wars and the multiversal Avengers. We will talk more about this on the live streaming channel. I'm excited, man. This actually seems pretty freaking cool, man. Marvel might be back if they're actually cooking like this. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.